With the 5th pick in the 2009 NBA Draft, the Minnesota Timberwolves select Ricky Rubio of El Masnou, Spain, and Juventud Badalona. With the 6th pick in the 2009 NBA Draft, the Minnesota Timberwolves select Jonny Flynn from Syracuse University. With the 7th pick in the 2009 NBA Draft, the Golden State Warriors select Stephen Curry from Davidson College.
Much later.
Cheers, baby! What are they gonna say now?
When looking at the NBA draft of the years, it's one of the best days for a basketball fan. If you're on a bottom-feeding team, you have a very good shot at getting a superstar and a future all-time great player. And if you're one of the better teams, you can find that late gem in the first round who puts you over the top to be a championship contender. Now that right there is the best case scenario when it comes to the NBA draft. But more times than not, most of these teams get it wrong and have huge blunders. And when talking about the biggest mistakes in draft history, some of the notable ones: in 1984, Sam Bowie was taken from Michael Jordan. In 03, Darko was picked over Wade, Melo, as well as Bosh. And in 96, the Nets took Kerry Kittles over Kobe Bryant. Those right there are some of the biggest draft blunders and biggest mistakes of all time. But the biggest one comes in the 2009 draft by the Minnesota Timberwolves. And to give some context, the 2009 draft was absolutely loaded. At the top end, you had James Harden, Drew Holiday, DeMar DeRozan, even Blake Griffin. And on the second tier of talent, you had Tyreke Evans, Pat Bev, Jeff Teague, even Ty Lawson. If you had a lottery pick this year, or even a first round pick, your odds of getting a superstar or all-star player was sky high. And for Minnesota this year, they had 3 first round picks. I repeat, 3 first round picks. And as we'll come to see, they whiffed on all 3.
Fuck shit, fuck me in the ass. Fuck you, you stupid cunt.
Now, looking at the first 4 picks in this draft class, at number 1, you had Blake Griffin, number 2, Hasheem Thabeet, number 3, James Harden, and number 4, Tyreke Evans. You have 2 superstars, 1 very good player, and 1 bust in Thabeet. Now, after the top 4 is where it gets very interesting, as at this point Steph Curry was the highest rated player left on the board, and Minnesota had the 5th as well as 6th pick. And looking at pick number 5, Minnesota, rightfully so, would take a point guard. Unfortunately, it wasn't the right one, as they took Ricky Rubio, an 18-year-old from Spain. And at this point, Rubio, he was kind of an unknown. He had a good 08 Olympics, and only being 18 years old, the potential was definitely sky high. And watching some of these highlights, I can't lie, it was like Pistol Pete 2.0 and a Spanish Magic Johnson. And to be fair to Minnesota, since 09, overseas drafting has gotten much better. As around this time period, international scouting, it was still very primitive, and a guy like Rubio could be a top 5 pick off 1 mixtape or even a solid workout. Now looking at the 6th pick, this is where it goes off the rails, as Minnesota once again will take a point guard, that being Jonny Flynn from Syracuse. You may be asking, who the heck is Jonny Flynn? He was a 6-foot combo guard from Syracuse, a pretty good scorer, who left after his sophomore season. And pairing him with Rubio, they thought, would be backcourt of the future. Now, unlike Rubio, who was kind of unknown, kind of mystery, Jonny Flynn at this point was very much known and you knew what you were getting. And I find it super odd Minnesota wouldn't draft the best scoring guard, that being Steph Curry, and opted for Jonny Flynn, who only averaged 18 points per game in his sophomore season. And even in the moment in 09, I think it was so obvious that Steph Curry was a much better player than Jonny Flynn would ever be. As at Davidson, he played 100 plus career games and shot 41% from 3 on nearly 10 attempts. Jonny Flynn his sophomore year shot 31% on only 4 attempts. And calling Steph Curry a quote-unquote small guard could be applied to Jonny Flynn just as much. As compared to Steph, he's 3 inches shorter and 5 pounds lighter. And looking at Steph Curry in college, he did play for Davidson, which is a very small D1 school. But after his sophomore year, Davidson made the Elite Eight and a Cinderella run. At that point, Steph Curry, who was a household name and one of the biggest figures in college basketball. He was not a dark horse, he wasn't unknown, but wasn't some mystery like Ricky Rubio. Steph Curry at this point, you knew what you were getting. You're getting a knockdown sniper who in his last year in college averaged 29 points per game. So the question has to be asked, why did Minnesota take Jonny Flynn over Steph Curry? Something in the moment that was pretty peculiar, and over a decade later is inexcusable. As taking one point guard over Steph Curry, I can understand maybe that happening. But taking 2 of them over Steph is the biggest all-time blunder in NBA draft history. And looking at Minnesota's GM at the time, David Kahn, one of the worst GMs ever, who he blames for this pick is Del Curry, Steph Curry's dad, as allegedly Del Curry said he didn't want Steph Curry going to Minnesota and wasting his career. Now, if that was actually said, Del Curry was 1000% right, as Minnesota then and even now is a dumpster fire and their front office is a joke.
Oh no! We suck again!
And hypothetically speaking, if Steph Curry went to the Timberwolves, I still think in that environment he would find a way to shine through and be a great player. He'd have Kevin Love, Ricky Rubio, even Al Jefferson, some pretty good talent in a stacked West. Would he be Steph Curry we know today, a top 15 player of all time? Probably not. And if you are a Minnesota sports fan and root for the Timberwolves, watching this video could definitely be hard, as since this draft, their team has had virtually zero success. During Steph Curry's playing career, they made the playoffs twice and won 0 series. For comparison's sake, Steph Curry has more championships than Minnesota has playoff wins during his 13-year career. Now, like I said earlier in the video, Minnesota had 3 first-round picks. Their last one being the 18th pick, they took Ty Lawson, another point guard. At this point, they finally got a decent player and an all-star caliber point guard. And you're probably thinking, finally Minnesota did something right. But in typical Timberwolves fashion, once again, they squandered it and threw away a great player. Trading Ty Lawson to the Nuggets for another first-round pick that became Luke Babbitt in 2010. Also, one more thing I do want to note, the backcourt of Rubio and Flynn played a total of 0 games together. And compared to Steph Curry, those two combined have 8,000 less points and 800 less assists. Once again, proving Minnesota made an awful pick at number 5, as was number 6. And fast forwarding to 2020, Golden State once again would rob Minnesota blind, as they traded D'Angelo Russell, Jacob Evans, and Amari Spellman for Andrew Wiggins and a first-round pick that would be Jonathan Kuminga. Looking back on that trade once again, Minnesota got absolutely robbed, and Golden State once again got a championship piece, that being Andrew Wiggins. Really, this video is a tale of 2 halves. You have the Golden State dynasty, which is well run, great management, great picks, great trades, and you have Minnesota on the flip side, who makes awful moves, awful decisions, they don't develop players, and they're a downright terrible organization. Now, of course, that's pretty obvious, and that is the end of the video. As always, thank you guys for watching, hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you guys next time.